The rain hammered against the windshield. As Marcus pulled over to the side of the highway, his heart pounding, there, illuminated by his headlights, stood a girl who couldn't have been more than 7 years old, soaked to the bone, clutching a tattered backpack. She had no coat, no umbrella, and when he asked her where her parents were, she just stared at him with hollow eyes and whispered words that would change everything. I don't remember anything before yesterday. Before we dive deeper into this incredible story, I want to invite you to subscribe to Sage Stories, where we share true tales of kindness and hope that remind us of the good in humanity. Hit that like button and share your thoughts in the comments below. Your stories matter to us, and we love hearing from you. Marcus Chen had been a single dad for 3 years, ever since his wife Sarah passed away from cancer. Their daughter Emma was 5 when it happened, and Marcus had spent every day since then trying to be both mother and father to her. He worked as a high school English teacher in suburban Portland, Oregon, a job that barely covered the bills, but gave him summers, with Emma and a schedule that matched hers. They lived in a modest 2-bedroom apartment on the east side of town, where the rent was affordable and the neighbors were kind. That September evening, Marcus was driving home from a parent-teacher conference when the storm hit. The weather had turned violent without warning, and he'd been focused on getting home safely when he saw her. At first, he thought his eyes were playing tricks on him. Who would leave a child alone on the side of a highway in weather like this? But as he got closer, he realized she was real, and she was in trouble. He pulled over immediately, his emergency flashers cutting through the rain. When he opened his door, the wind nearly ripped it from his hands. He ran to the girl, kneeling down to her level. Up close, she looked even more fragile. Her clothes were expensive, he noticed. Designer brands that seemed out of place with her current situation. A white dress that must have once been pristine was now gray with road dirt and rain. Her dark hair hung in wet tangles around a face that was eerily calm for someone in such a dire situation. "Sweetie, are you okay? Where are your parents?" Marcus asked, trying to keep his voice steady despite the alarm bells ringing in his head. The girl looked at him with eyes that seemed far too old for her young face. I don't remember anything before yesterday." Marcus felt a chill that had nothing to do with the rain. He looked around frantically, searching for a car, for adults, for any explanation. There was nothing but empty highway stretching in both directions. "What's your name, honey?" I think it's Lily, but I'm not sure." He couldn't leave her there. That wasn't even a question. Marcus wrapped his jacket around her small shoulders and guided her to his
car. As he buckled her into the back seat, he noticed something that made his breath catch. On the inside of her left wrist was a small birthmark, shaped almost like a star. But there was something else. A faint scar running along her hairline, barely visible but definitely there. The drive to the police station was silent except for the rhythmic thump of the windshield wipers. Marcus kept glancing in the rearview mirror at this mysterious child who had appeared out of nowhere. Lily sat perfectly still, her hands folded in her lap, staring out the window at the passing lights as if she were watching a movie of someone else's life. At the police station, Officer Janet Rodriguez took one look at Lily and her expression shifted from routine to alert. She'd been on the force for 15 years and had seen her share of missing children cases. She took Lily gently by the hand and led her to a private room while Marcus gave his statement to another officer. "We found her on Highway 26, about 15 miles outside the city," Marcus explained. "She says she can't remember anything before yesterday. No parents, no home, nothing." The officer taking notes looked up sharply. "Nothing at all?" "That's what she told me." Over the next several hours, the police ran every check they could think of. They searched missing persons databases, called hospitals, checked with social services. Lily sat quietly through it all, answering questions when she could, which wasn't often. Yes, she thought her name was Lily. No, she didn't know her last name. She didn't remember her parents' faces or where she lived. She didn't know what school she went to, or if she had any siblings. It was as if someone had erased everything, except the most basic functions, from her mind. A pediatrician was called in to examine her. Dr. Sarah Mitchell was gentle and thorough, and her report only deepened the mystery. Lily was healthy, well-nourished, and showed signs of having received excellent care. Her teeth were perfect, Her vaccinations up to date based on the antibody tests they could run. The scar on her hairline was old, at least a few years, and likely from some kind of surgery. But there was no medical explanation for her amnesia that Dr. Mitchell could find without more extensive testing. Retrograde amnesia in children this young is extremely rare. Dr. Mitchell told Officer Rodriguez and Marcus, who had stayed at the station, unable to shake the feeling that this child needed someone, anyone, to care about what happened to her. It can be caused by trauma, both physical and psychological. That scar suggests she may have had a head injury at some point. But this complete a memory loss? I've never seen anything quite like it. As midnight approached, Marcus found himself in Officer Rodriguez's office, drinking bad coffee and trying to figure out what happened next. Emma was at his sister's house for the night, something they'd planned before all this happened, which meant he had time to see this through. We're going to have to place her with Child Protective Services tonight, Rodriguez said, and Marcus could hear the reluctance in her voice. Foster care, at least until we can figure out who she is. Marcus thought about that little girl, sitting alone in a room full of strangers, with no memories to comfort her and no family to claim her. He thought about Emma, who had her father and her aunt and a whole community of people who loved her. He thought about his wife, Sarah, who had always seen the best in people, and had taught him that sometimes you have to step up even when it's hard. What if I took her tonight? The words were out before he'd fully thought them through. Just temporarily until you find her family. I'm already cleared for background checks through my teaching job. My daughter's with my sister, so I can give Lily my full attention. It would be better than a group home, wouldn't it? Rodriguez studied him for a long moment. Mr. Chen, that's very kind, but this is complicated. We don't know anything about this child or her situation. Exactly. Which is why she needs someone who'll treat her like a person, not a case number. Just for tonight. Tomorrow you can make other arrangements if you need to. It took another hour of phone calls and paperwork, but eventually Rodriguez agreed. Marcus signed temporary emergency foster care papers and promised to bring Lily back first thing in the morning. When he went to get her from the waiting room, she looked up at him with those same hollow eyes, and he felt his heart break a little. Lily, my name is Marcus. You're going to come stay with me tonight, okay? Just until the police can find your family. She nodded and stood up, still clutching that tattered backpack. She hadn't let go of it once since he'd found her. In the car on the way home, Marcus tried to make conversation. Do you like music? I have a daughter named Emma. She's 7, just about your age, I think. She loves Taylor Swift. I don't know if I like music, Lily said softly. I don't remember. When they got to the apartment, Marcus showed Lily to Emma's room. You can sleep in here tonight. Emma's at her aunt's house. I'll get you some clean clothes and a towel. Would you like to take a shower? Get warm? Lily nodded, and for the first time a tiny crack appeared in her calm facade. Her lower lip trembled slightly. Thank you for being nice to me. Those simple words hit Marcus harder than he expected. He blinked back unexpected tears and smiled at her. Of course, sweetheart. Everyone deserves kindness. While Lily showered, Marcus called his sister Michelle to fill her in. Michelle was a social worker, and her perspective was valuable. Marcus, you have the biggest heart, but you need to be careful. We don't know this child's situation. What if her family is looking for her? What if there's something dangerous involved? I know. But Michelle, you should have seen her. She was so lost. Just promise me you'll be careful. And keep the police in the loop about everything. After Lily emerged from the shower, wearing one of Emma's nightgowns that was slightly too big, Marcus made her hot chocolate and sat with her at the kitchen table. She wrapped her small hands around the mug and took a sip, and then something remarkable happened. Her eyes widened. This tastes familiar, she whispered. Like maybe someone made this for me before. It was the first glimmer of memory, and Marcus felt a surge of hope. That's good, Lily, that's really good. Maybe your memories will come back little by little. Over the next few days, what was supposed to be one night turned into 2, then 3, then a week. The police investigation hit wall after wall. No one had reported a child matching Lily's description missing. Her fingerprints weren't in any database. The designer clothes she'd been wearing had their labels carefully removed. It was as if she'd materialized out of thin air. During that week, Marcus introduced Lily to Emma, and the two girls formed an instant bond. Emma, who had been so lonely after losing her mother, suddenly had a sister figure. They played together, drew pictures together, and Emma showed Lily her favorite books. Marcus watched as Lily slowly began to relax, to smile occasionally, to act more like the 7-year-old child she was. But Lily also had moments that troubled him. She would wake up screaming from nightmares she couldn't remember. She flinched at sudden loud noises, and she had knowledge that seemed strange for a young child. She could speak some French, which she didn't realize until Marcus put on a French film one evening, and she began translating without thinking about it. She knew how to play chess, something that became apparent when she saw Marcus's old chessboard and immediately set up the pieces correctly. "Where did you learn to play chess?" Marcus asked gently. Lily stared at the board, her brow furrowed. "I don't know. But I know how the pieces move. I can see the game in my head." Marcus began documenting these moments, sharing them with Officer Rodriguez, who was still actively investigating. She'd become personally invested in Lily's case, working on it during her off hours. "This child came from somewhere," Rodriguez told Marcus. "Families like this, wealthy families based on those clothes, they don't just disappear without someone noticing." 2 weeks after finding Lily, Marcus was grading papers late one night when his phone rang. It was Rodriguez, and her voice was shaking with excitement. "Marcus, I think I found something. Do you remember that birthmark on Lily's wrist? I was going through old missing persons cases, ones from years ago, and I found a case from 2002. A billionaire's daughter disappeared during a home invasion in Seattle. She was 3 years old. They never found her body, assumed she was dead. Marcus, that little girl had a star-shaped birthmark on her left wrist." Marcus felt the room spin. 2002? That was over 20 years ago. Lily's only 7. I know it doesn't make sense timeline-wise, but I'm sending you a photo from the case file. Look at it and tell me what you see. The email came through and Marcus opened the attachment with trembling hands. It was a family photo, professional and posed. A tall man in an expensive suit stood next to an elegant woman in pearls. Between them was a toddler with dark hair and eyes that looked hauntingly familiar. He zoomed in on the photo and there it was, a star-shaped birthmark on the child's left wrist. The family's name was Hartwell, Rodriguez continued. Richard and Elizabeth Hartwell. Their daughter's name was Lily Ann Hartwell. Richard Hartwell made his fortune in tech, sold his company in 2001 for $3 billion. In 2002, their home was broken into. Elizabeth was killed. Richard was severely injured. And little Lily disappeared. The case went cold. No ransom demand, no body, nothing. But Rodriguez, that was 24 years ago. This Lily is 7. The math doesn't work. Unless, Rodriguez said slowly, what if someone took that child and raised her? What if she's been hidden all these years? And something happened recently that caused her to be abandoned? What if the amnesia is from trauma, from finally escaping? Marcus looked down the hall toward the bedroom where both Emma and Lily were sleeping. His mind raced through the implications. We need to be sure before we do anything. We need DNA. Already on it. I pulled the case file. They still have DNA from the Hartwell home, from Lily's hairbrush. If we can get a sample from our Lily, we can run a comparison. But Marcus, I need to warn you. Richard Hartwell is still alive. He's 78 now, been a recluse since the invasion. If this is his daughter, if she's really been alive all this time. He deserves to know, Marcus finished. But we have to be careful. Lily's been through enough. We can't put her through more trauma on a maybe. The DNA test was done quietly, with Lily thinking it was just a routine health check. Then came the hardest part, waiting. Marcus continued teaching, continued caring for both girls, continued watching as Lily slowly emerged from her shell. She started laughing at Emma's jokes. She drew pictures that she'd taped to the refrigerator. She began to trust that the world wasn't entirely frightening. 3 weeks after the test, Rodriguez called with results that would change everything. It's a match, Marcus. 99.9% certainty. Lily is Lily Ann Hartwell. That little girl you found on the highway is a billionaire's daughter who's been missing for 24 years. Marcus sat down hard, his legs suddenly unable to support him. How is that possible? She's 7 years old. We're working on that. The FBI is now involved. They're theorizing that whoever took her in 2002 may have kept her hidden, possibly moving locations, frequently. The amnesia, the recent abandonment, it all suggests something went wrong with her captors. Maybe one of them died, maybe they got spooked. Maybe there was an internal conflict. We may never know the full story unless Lily's memories come back. Does he know? Does Richard Hartwell know? Not yet. We wanted to talk to you first. Marcus, you've been incredible through all of this. But this child has a living parent, a father who's been grieving her for over 2 decades. We're going to have to tell him. Marcus felt his heart crack. He'd known this moment might come, had even hoped for it because every child deserves to be with their family. But over the past month, Lily had become part of his family. Emma loved her like a sister. He loved her like a daughter. I know, he said quietly. I know you have to tell him, just let me prepare her, okay? Let me explain it in a way she can understand. That evening, after Emma had gone to bed, Marcus sat with Lily in the living room. She was curled up on the couch with a book, looking more peaceful than she had when he'd first found her. He sat down next to her and took a deep breath. Lily, I need to talk to you about something important. The police think they might have found your family. They think they know who you are. Lily's eyes went wide and she clutched the book tighter. Who am I? They think your name is Lily Ann Hartwell, and that you were taken from your home when you were very little. They think you have a father who's been looking for you for a very long time. Tears welled up in Lily's eyes. I don't remember him. What if I don't remember him and he's sad? Marcus pulled her into a hug. Oh, sweetheart, if he's really your dad, he'll just be happy you're safe. He won't care if you remember him or not.
He'll just want to love you.
But what about you and Emma? You're my family too now. And there it was, the truth that Marcus had been trying not to face. You'll always be part of our family, Lily. Always. Nothing can change that. The meeting was arranged for 2 days later at the police station, neutral ground where everyone could feel safe. Richard Hartwell arrived in a black car with tinted windows, supported by a cane and accompanied by his lawyer and a private investigator he'd kept on retainer for over 20 years, never giving up hope. Marcus brought Lily, holding her hand as they walked into the station. Officer Rodriguez met them at the door, her eyes kind. He's in the conference room. He's very emotional, understandably. Take your time. When they opened the door, Marcus saw a tall man, elderly but still imposing, standing by the window. He turned when he heard them enter and his face went white. His cane clattered to the floor. For a long moment, nobody moved or spoke. Then Richard Hartwell whispered, Lily, my Lily. His voice broke on her name and tears streamed down his weathered face. You have your mother's eyes. Oh God, you have Elizabeth's eyes. Lily looked up at Marcus uncertainly, and he gave her an encouraging nod. She took a tentative step forward. They say you're my father. I'm sorry I don't remember you. Richard moved toward her slowly, as if afraid she might disappear like smoke. He knelt down painfully, bringing himself to her level. My darling girl, I don't care if you remember. I remember. I remember every single day of your life that I got to have you. I remember your laugh and the way you loved strawberries, and how you'd fall asleep holding your mother's hand. And I've spent every day since you were taken praying for this moment. Something in Lily's expression shifted. She stared at Richard's face and her hand came up to touch the scar on her hairline. Strawberries, she whispered. I had a dream about strawberries. And music. Piano music. Your mother played piano, Richard said, his voice shaking. She'd play for you every night before bed. Chopin, mostly. You'd fall asleep listening to her play. Lily's eyes filled with tears and she took another step closer. I think I remember the music. Richard opened his arms and after a moment's hesitation, Lily walked into them. He held her like she was made of glass and gold, crying openly. 24 years of grief and hope and desperate love pouring out. Marcus watched with his own tears falling, feeling both heartbroken and privileged to witness this reunion. Over the next several weeks, the full story began to emerge through FBI investigations and fragments of returning memories. Lily had been taken by a couple involved in the home invasion, people who had no children of their own and who had decided in a moment of terrible decision to keep the toddler they found. They'd raised her in isolation, moving frequently, always afraid of being caught. The woman had died 6 months ago, and the man, consumed by guilt and fear, had apparently suffered a breakdown. He'd left Lily on that highway and disappeared, later found deceased by suicide in a hotel room through